If we move towards your career, you mentioned before that, and also something that I read is that you worked or studied medicine. So is that something that you've always been interested in, this area?
Yes, it's interesting that you ask that because this is something I've actually been asking myself a lot because, and I talk about this on my content on Instagram as well. I always thought that I wanted to be a doctor from a very young age. So when I was in so maybe when I was like 7, 8, maybe even 10, I asked my auntie what like a stable slash high paying job was. And she said doctor. And so then I think from then on, I decided that I wanted to be a doctor without
Mhm.
actually ever really knowing what the job entails, what it's actually like. As I grew older, though, I learned more about it and I realized that I did want to help people. So, in a sense, I wanted to be a doctor from a very young age. When I started working in medicine, though, I realized that the job itself is not as it seems. And there's lots of different sides to it that you don't really get exposed to until you've committed to working as a doctor and you've done, however many years in medical school. So, yeah.
And I can imagine it's also quite a hard career path when it comes to learning everything, and of course quite like a serious, because you're obviously dealing with health of people, so a lot at stake. So quite a challenging choice.
It is. It is not an easy career. And I think to really do well in medicine, you have to love what you're doing, or you have to, be really steadfast in your purpose for doing it because they're long hours, that's lots of study, and it's physically taxing as well. Sometimes you're
Yeah.
on your feet all day. And as you said, and I talk about this in actually one of the YouTube videos that I did about why I left medicine, it is very emotionally challenging. And that's really something that I struggled with a lot as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. And when we discuss medicine, is there like any specific focus that you wanted to pursue or that you focus on? Because obviously it's a large topic and large area, just so that we know it a bit more specifically.
Yeah, so in Australia, you don't commit to any focus area or specialty until after you graduate from medical school. So I never committed to a specialty. I was interested in psychiatry, and that's still like mental health is still a big passion of mine, but ultimately just didn't end up going down that path.
Okay, okay. And I guess this topic of mental health, it kind of, or you can see that it's quite important, like in these days on social media too, because
Mm.
I feel like that people still don't discuss it as much, but then behind the scenes, it's still happening. And not happy to say that, but I think it will become more and more relevant in the future.
So I think I'm lucky because you know how the algorithms work. If you train your newsfeed to show you stuff that you're interested in, I have a lot of sort of mental health and well-being stuff come up. So I think I'm lucky that I get exposed to that, but 100% agree that it could always benefit from more conversations and more awareness.
I think so too. And then I like, for example, when I talk about with someone on the podcast too, and they kind of open about it, because especially when you hear it from someone who's way ahead of you with higher following, more successful, it just makes it more relatable and understand that it's natural to go through these things.
Yeah, I think I watched a couple of your episodes dealing with burnout and like the breathwork stuff. I thought that was really interesting. So I like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And then, Sarah, what was the moment that made you focus or actually decide if you didn't want to pursue medicine? What else did you want to do? Was it like that you knew that you want to focus on content creation or branding, or you didn't know? What was it like?
It's really, yeah. So I actually started content creation when I was 16. So that was in high school, even before, well, actually when I was 14. So even when I was high school, well before I decided to go to medical school. And I was not bad at it. Like I had a pretty high following on Instagram, about 200K. I'd started my own business, sold an ebook, all that sort of stuff. But again, I think as I said to you before, I'd always thought that medicine was going to be the way for me. So I never ever viewed content creation as an actual career. I also think that unless you're in it and you're already doing it, the general public's opinion of content is like, it's not serious, right? It's just a
Yeah.
hobby or it's, a frivolous idea. So I think that perception impacted me as well. Like I kept saying to myself, oh, but it's not serious. It's never going to get to anywhere. So I'm not going to do it. And so what I decided to do instead after medicine was consulting, which is more of a broader sort of general strategy and management consulting. And that was a really good fit for me. But I think ultimately, even after a couple of years of that, I realized that there's nothing I'm as passionate about as content. Like,
Mhm.
no matter how good work was and how much I was achieving and progressing, my priority and like my heart was always in what am I going to post that day? Am I going to be able to film this weekend? Yeah.
Yeah, I like it because it's like pursuing your passion and what you enjoy the most. Because having fun is, I think, ultimately one of the most important things because it helps you just to keep going no matter what, and you enjoy it at the same time.
100%. And I'm slowly learning now that there's not a lot of hobbies that you can't make a career out of. Like if you have a special interest in something, there's probably a job out there for you or a way to monetize that you can make it work.
That is true.